Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I am Akshay Dungre, coming up in the next hour. India and Nepal review bilateral ties and boost cooperation in key sectors, launch cross-border digital payment and hands over 84 projects during Foreign Minister Shishir Khanal's visit to India. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to co-chair 8th India-Indonesia Joint Commission meeting along with his Indonesian counterpart Sugiono in New Delhi to further boost strategic ties. As ceasefire deadlock continues, American forces targeting Iranian drones and radar sites and Iran firing missiles at US bases in Gulf. Russia intercepts more than 300 drones over a 13-hour period as Ukraine launches its large-scale attack in the region. And in sports, India beat Bangladesh 3-1 in final to win SAFF Women's Championship title for 6th time. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Saturday held talks with Nepal's Minister for Foreign Affairs Shishir Khanal, who is on a 3-day visit to India from 5th to 7th June. Minister Jaishankar said that the relation between India and Nepal are built on a solid foundation of strong people-to-people connect, a shared cultural and religious heritage and mutual trust.
India and Nepal, we of course share a very special relationship, one which is built on a strong foundation of vibrant people-to-people ties, cross-border connect and shared cultural and religious traditions. It is anchored by shared trust, goodwill and mutual benefit. We collaborate closely to maintain security along our long and uniquely open border. Our two countries have always stood by each other in times of need. In the wake of the ongoing crisis in West Asia, the Middle East, we have ensured uninterrupted fuel supplies to Nepal.
Minister Jaishankar said that the present time offers an important opportunity to transform the direction of India-Nepal relations and realize the full potential of bilateral ties.
And I want today to very clearly and strongly send a message of collaboration and cooperation. We believe that today there is an opportunity to decisively shift the trajectory of India-Nepal relations and to realize the full potential of our ties.
Both the foreign ministers of India and Nepal held a warm and constructive discussion, reflecting the unique and special ties between the two countries. External Affairs Minister of India Dr. S. Jaishankar handed over to Foreign Minister of Nepal 72 health facilities and 12 cultural heritage sector projects, completed under India's post-2015 earthquake reconstruction assistance to Nepal. The ministers jointly launched the peer-to-peer linkage between Unified Payment Interface of India and National Payment Interface of Nepal for facilitating cross-border personnel remittance between India and Nepal. The ministers witnessed the signing of MOU between Digital India Bhashini and Kathmandu University for co-creating national digital infrastructure for voice-first language translation platform. In a significant move to further boost the comprehensive ties between India and Indonesia, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia, Sugiono, is on a 3-day visit to India. The visiting leader will lead a high-level delegation to hold crucial discussion aimed at expanding the scope of cooperation across multiple strategic sectors. Foreign Minister Sugiono and Dr. S. Jaishankar are to co-chair the 8th India-Indonesia Joint Commission meeting. The two ministers will review the robust comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries and discuss ways to further deepen bilateral cooperation. India's economy maintained strong momentum in financial year 2026 despite the global uncertainty, geopolitical tensions, and rising energy prices. According to data released by the National Statistical Office, India's GDP grew by 7.7% during the financial year, surpassing the government's earlier estimate of 7.6%.
India's growth story remained resilient through financial year 2026, supported by strong domestic demand, healthy consumption, and robust investment activity. According to data released by the National Statistical Office on Friday, India's GDP growth accelerated to 7.8% in the January March quarter from 8% in the previous quarter. This pushed the full year growth rate to 7.7%, higher than the government's second advance estimate of 7.6%.
Apart from the consumption-oriented sectors, if you look at the supply side of the economy, the manufacturing sector growth, which was very high in FY26, and if you look at the IIP infra goods, all these numbers are all also in light green to strong green. With data available, you might think that there's only 1 month of data for the new financial year. But remember, it is 2 months of data since the conflict broke out.
The secondary and services sectors emerged as key growth drivers, expanding by 8.8% and 9.3% respectively. Manufacturing, trade, transport, communication, and financial services recorded strong double-digit growth. On the expenditure side, both private consumption and capital formation registered growth of more than 7.5%, indicating sustained economic activity. Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed the figures, calling them a reflection of the strength of Indian economy and the success of ongoing reforms.
आज देश में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का जो इतना विकास हो रहा है, गरीब कल्याण को लेकर इतने बड़े स्तर पर जो काम चल रहा है, इन सारे प्रयासों का परिणाम है कि आज देश बड़ी इकोनॉमी में सबसे तेज गति से आगे बढ़ रहा है.
Officials say the strong performance came despite headwinds from the West Asia conflict and rising energy costs. They point to resilient domestic demand and strong investment activity as key factor behind the growth.
Capital formation has been extremely good, and which is a very good sign that shows that investment expectations are good, and investment ensures that future growth will also remain robust.
Economists say with broad-based growth across sectors, the latest GDP numbers underline the resilience of the Indian economy amid a challenging global environment. However, stressed the need for stronger private investment, productivity gains, and a broader recovery in consumption to sustain high growth levels. With GDP growth of 7.7% in financial year 2026, India continues to remain among the fastest growing major economies in the world. Bureau Report, DD India.
As global economic uncertainties and geopolitical tensions continue to challenge economies worldwide, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a key meeting of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. The discussions focused on sustaining India's growth momentum, strengthening economic resilience, and advancing the reforms that are taking place in the country. Issues ranging from ease of living and ease of doing business to the impact of development in West Asia were reviewed. Here is a report on the key takeaways.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a meeting of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister on Saturday. The meeting focused on measures to sustain and accelerate India's economic growth amid global uncertainties and geopolitical challenges. During the meeting, the Prime Minister and members of the Economic Advisory Council discussed strategies to maintain India's growth momentum in an increasingly volatile global environment. The Council also reviewed reforms focused on improving the quality of life for citizens and enhancing the ease of doing business. Discussions centered on making governance more efficient, reducing compliance burdens, and creating a more conducive environment for investment and entrepreneurship. Members also shared their assessments of the impact of ongoing developments in West Asia on India and the global economy. Amid global economic uncertainties, members held detailed discussions on fresh economic reforms aimed at sustaining and strengthening India's growth trajectory. The Council assessed the potential impact of developments in the Red Sea region and West Asia on India's trade flows, MSME sector, supply chains, and crude oil imports. There was broad support for further simplifying regulations and reducing procedural hurdles to improve ease of living for citizens and facilitate business activity. Discussions also focused on strengthening domestic manufacturing and boosting domestic consumption to help shield the economy from external shocks and global disruptions. The Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister comprises economists and policy experts who provide independent advice on economic and development issues. The Council plays a key role in offering recommendations on long-term development priorities and emerging economic trends. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come on DD India NewsHour. Kim Jong-un orders a major missile production boost ahead of Xi Jinping's Pyongyang visit. Peruvians to vote in a high-stakes presidential runoff election on Sunday. Police clash with anti-government protesters in Bolivia as unrest and nationwide blockades intensify.
Years ago, swamp. Today, skyscrapers. Tomorrow, who knows? Billion-rupee gamble on the future. Newtown might have some answers.
The waste segregation, 100% of it is done at source. The percentage of the waste to landfills has reduced to 4%. And it captures 95% of the city's stormwater.
Some garage doors have special components like strengthened jams and brackets and bracing that allow it to withstand those winds.
I think it's a very wise investment in resilient housing, coming up with designs which are adaptive. It can very well be a long-term solution for the area.
Diplomacy is not about freezing advantageous situations and saying that will stay there forever. Diplomacy is about planning for those ups and downs and putting in place structures and relationships which do. It's not an impatient business. It's not a knee-jerk response to what happens. Foreign policy has a certain calculation. It has a certain, it needs preparation. It has a timeline. That's how it works. You're there for your neighbors when COVID hits them, when there were fertilizer crisis, when there were power crisis, when, they're short of fuel. Many of them sometimes have, food issues, whatever it is. That sense that, look, a growing India, a rising India is to your advantage.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I am Akshay Dongre. Now moving on to the updates from the US-Iran war. The American forces struck Iranian coastal radar sites on Saturday after shooting down drones launched by Iran toward the Strait of Hormuz once again. The US military believed the 4 Iranian drones were targeting regional maritime traffic. US Central Command said on X that the US then struck Iran's surveillance sites in Goruk and Qasem Island, both in the Strait of Hormuz. The attacks raised fresh concerns over the fragile ceasefire. However, the US President Donald Trump told reporters on Friday that the situation with Iran seems to be going quite well, and the US would soon exit Iran one way or the other. The Iranian Foreign Ministry strongly condemned the US strikes on radar and coastal surveillance facilities. In a statement, the ministry said that the US action broke an April 8 ceasefire and that such repeated violations showed that Washington had no intention of reducing tensions. It warned that the United States would bear responsibility for the consequences of its illegal actions. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said it had attacked US bases in Kuwait and Bahrain in retaliation for US strikes and fired at 4 tankers trying to cross the strait without its permission. Meanwhile, Kuwait's army said on Saturday it engaged 7 ballistic missiles that passed over residential areas, resulting in material damage but no casualties. In Bahrain, sirens sounded and residents were urged to seek shelter. Kuwait and Bahrain have condemned the strikes. The US government will attempt to redirect Iranian assets to Gulf states for rebuilding and repair of future damages caused by Iran, a day after the wave of attacks by Iran against Kuwait and Bahrain. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has also directed a team to assess costs of damage already inflicted on Gulf allies by Iran, adding that the US will consider using Iranian assets for those repairs as well. The disclosure comes a day after Mohsen Rezai, an advisor to Iran's supreme leader, said that a peace deal hinged on the release of $24 billion in Iranian assets frozen by the United States. Peace negotiations appeared to have stalled, although a minister from mediator Pakistan travelled to Tehran on Saturday with a letter for Iran's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei. And in a parallel conflict in Lebanon, several strikes were seen from Marjayoun on Saturday, targeting different areas in southern Lebanon. 2 Lebanese officers and 1 soldier were killed on Saturday in an Israeli strike on a military vehicle in south of Lebanon. The Israeli military said it was investigating the incident. Later, the Israeli military said it targeted the vehicle after identifying it as a threat to its forces and receiving indications that Hezbollah was preparing to fire on Israeli troops from the area. Lebanon's army said on Saturday its Commander General Rudolf Haikal left for Pakistan at the invitation of the Pakistani counterpart without giving further details. Ukraine fired hundreds of drones at Russia early Saturday, leaving one person dead and setting an oil depot ablaze on the final day of the country's flagship economic forum in St. Petersburg. Many drones targeted St. Petersburg, marking the second Ukrainian attack on the city in less than a week. Ukraine's SBU security service said it struck the Kronstadt's naval base and the Russian Navy's 15th arsenal in the Leningrad region. The attacks also caused a fire at an oil depot in Ust-Labinsk and left one person dead in the Tver region due to drone debris, according to local officials. The attack came a day after Russian President Vladimir Putin rejected a meeting proposal from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who accused Putin of choosing war once again. Russia's defense ministry said air defenses intercepted and destroyed over 300 drones across 13 regions, including Moscow. Over a 13-hour period, more than 140 were shot down over the Leningrad region. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday said he currently saw no reason to meet Volodymyr Zelensky after Ukrainian President published an open letter proposing they hold face-to-face talks to agree an end to the war now in its fifth year. In his letter, which was sent to other countries including the US, Zelensky said the majority of Russians had grown tired of Ukrainian missiles and drone attacks, high inflation and fuel shortages, and were ready for a peace. Speaking at Russia's annual economic forum, Putin dismissed Zelensky's open letter as rude.
I don't see the point in meeting Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. There is only point in this meeting for the Ukrainian side to stop the advance of our armed forces. That's all. But we need agreement not for 6 months, not for 3 months, but for the long term. Let's the expert work, develop some solution, and then we can meet, witness the signing of some documents or even sign something. But first, we need to find a solution.
Now to North Korea. The North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited a major munition factory and ordered a 2.5-fold increase in missile production capacity over the next 5 years, a day before Chinese President Xi Jinping arrives in Pyongyang for a summit. Photographs released by the state media showed Kim touring the facility and talking with officials. Xi's visit will be his first to North Korea in nearly 7 years. China's foreign ministry said he will meet Kim to discuss bilateral relations and issues of common concern. Beijing is looking to reinforce ties with Pyongyang, its only formal treaty ally. Meanwhile, China held a law enforcement operation in waters east of Taiwan following recent talks between Japan and Philippines to draw a boundary there. Tokyo and Manila said last month they would start formal talks to delimit the maritime boundary of an economic zone and continental shelf between them, angering Beijing. China, which asserts Taiwan is a part of its territory, called the talks illegal and has claimed exclusive control over the waters concerned. Japan and China are in territorial and economic disputes in the East China Sea, where Coast Guard ships from both sides routinely stage tense standoffs. A top White House artificial intelligence policy advisor said he will leave his position at the end of June, marking the exit of a leading figure helping craft policies for frontier technologies. Krishnan has been involved in Trump administration's effort to create a national framework for regulating developments in the AI. His departure comes as the president looks at the possibility of the US government acquiring stakes in AI firms. The White House, in a Tuesday executive order, directed federal agencies to ask leading AI developers to voluntarily submit their most capable models for government cybersecurity tests before releasing them to the public. Meanwhile, the US has approved the $1.5 billion sale of 5 Seahawk maritime helicopters to New Zealand, which has pledged to nearly double its military spending. The department said in a statement that US has made a determination approving a possible foreign military sale to the government of New Zealand for MH-60R multi-mission helicopters and related equipment. The US under President Donald Trump has been pushing allies in Europe and in Asia Pacific to boost military spending. New Zealand, a close ally of neighbouring Australia, is increasingly deploying across East Asia in support of Western militaries and their partners amid China's rapid military rise. And moving on to shootings in the US, a shootout on Saturday near a community festival in Ohio left at least 12 people wounded by gunfire, with no suspect in custody so far. Authorities were combing the area, searching for suspects, interviewing witnesses and examining cell phones video after at least 2 people were believed to have exchanged shots near the Old West End festival. An active search was underway and authorities were pleading with members of the community to come forward with any information that could help them lead to the catching of the shooters. Firearms are abundant in the United States and thousands of people across the country die of gunshot wounds each year. Meanwhile, moving on from the US to Peru, Peruvians head to the poll to cast ballots in the presidential runoff election on Sunday. Meanwhile, Peru's electoral authorities deployed electoral material on Friday, 2 days before the country's second round vote, sending 217 trucks carrying ballots, voting booths and other supplies to the 2,253 voting centers across Lima and Callao, under police escort and satellite monitoring as well. Electoral officials oversaw the operation, while the Defense Ministry deployed an additional 2,700 military personnel, bringing the total security force assigned nationwide to over 45,000 troops to protect voting centers, safeguard election material and support a secure voting process that voters have chosen. The voters have to choose between Keiko Fujimori and Roberto Sanchez in the presidential runoff election. Meanwhile, Armenia votes on Sunday in a parliamentary election as the country decides its next government. The vote comes amid political and security challenges for Armenia following the 2023 loss of Karabakh region to Azerbaijan, which displaced much of the local Armenian population. Prime Minister Nikolaou Pashinyan has framed the election as a choice between peace with Azerbaijan or renewed conflict. The vote is being closely watched amid concerns about foreign influence, misinformation and regional tensions, with officials warning of attempts to sway public opinion. And Kosovo heads to the polls for parliamentary election on Sunday, the third in June 18 months, as no party has been able to gain a strong enough majority to pull the Balkan country out of the political crisis that it currently faces. Europe's youngest nation has aspiration to join the European Union, but has had no functioning government for much of the last year, as its fractured parliament failed to elect first a speaker and then a new head of the state. Kosovo's election commission has said that more than 900 candidates from 17 parties and 3 coalition groups are competing for seats in the 120-seat parliament. And thousands of protesters marched through Tirana on Saturday carrying Albanian flags and banners opposing a planned luxury resort backed by a company linked to Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of US President Donald Trump. The demonstration chanted "Down with the government" and called for officials to resign over the $1.6 billion resort project. The development, led by the Kushner investment firm Affinity Partners, is planned for an island off Albania and an undeveloped stretch of coastline near the Vjosa Narta projected landscape, a wetland home to flamingos, seals and sea turtles nestling sites. Kushner announced plans to build the resort in 2024 as part of a wider investment that also includes a former army headquarters in the Serbian capital Belgrade. Last year, he gave up the Serbia projects following street protests against it and now facing protests in Albania as well. And police clashed with anti-government protesters in eastern Bolivia, with gunfire reportedly wounding 4 officers, as authorities attempted to clear a road blocked by rural workers demanding President Rodrigo Paz's resignation A month of heated demonstration calling for the center-right pass to step down have paralyzed the Andean nation, and about 100 protest blockades around Bolivia causing severe food and medicine shortages in major cities is taking place as well. The chaos came a day after police and soldiers cleared a key road linking La Paz to farming communities. The US-backed pro-business Paz took office in November, promising to resolve the country's worst economic crisis in decades, but his unpopular economic reforms and failure to respond to social demands have roused public ire. The number of confirmed Ebola cases in Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda has risen to 452 and 19, respectively, according to a daily epidemiological update released by the World Health Organization on Saturday. Confirmed deaths from the disease totaled 82 in the DRC and 2 in Uganda. The WHO noted that the two African countries recorded 100 new confirmed cases and 20 deaths in the last 24 hours, indicating that sustained community transmission of the disease is continuing. The plan aims to raise $518 million to support African countries to prepare for, rapidly detect and respond to the outbreak for the period between June and November 2026. A neighborhood in Havana, Cuba was shrouded in darkness as people banged pots in protest over power shortages and outages on Saturday. The US on Thursday imposed sanctions on Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel. The sanctions were announced as President Donald Trump told reporters that the US wanted Cuba to be a nicely run country. Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez called the sanction despicable in a post on social media, describing them as the latest example of US interventionism. Cuba depends on imported crude oil and fuel to run most of its power plants. The US has recently pressured or penalized countries and companies that supply oil to Cuba, threatening tariff or sanctions as well. Combined with an aging infrastructure and economic problems, the fuel squeeze is a key driver of the prolonged blackouts now hitting the island nation. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. NTA dismisses NEET undergraduate 2026 paper leak claims as fake and warns of strict action against the fake news spreaders. A report of how 12 years of Modi government have transformed India's economy and global standing. The preparation for the famous annual Rath Yatra in India underway in full swing.
We have one other neighbor, Pakistan, and there the response is very, is this doesn't apply because when somebody the task of diplomacy is to, in a sense, in a very literal sense, to serve the people. We want to see how do you contribute to trade, what are you doing in technology, how are you promoting tourism, so that you have to contribute to the economic growth and progress. The quality, the attributes which you look today for in an Indian diplomat are different than they were before. And that difference reflects the changes which have come about in the country, in the government, and a lot of it again goes back to that leadership, the motivation, the energy.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I am Akshay Dongre. India and Nepal review bilateral ties and boost cooperation in key sectors, launch cross-border digital payments and hand over 84 projects during Foreign Minister Shishir Khanal's visit to India. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to co-chair the 8th India-Indonesia Joint Commission meeting along with his Indonesian counterpart Sugiono in New Delhi to further boost strategic ties. As ceasefire deadlock continues, American forces targeting Iranian drones and radar sites and Iran firing missiles at US bases in Gulf. Russia intercepts more than 300 drones over a 13-hour period as Ukraine launches its large-scale attack in the region. And in sports, India beat Bangladesh 3-1 in the final to win SAFF Women's Championship title for the 6th time. Venezuelan acting President Delcy Rodriguez arrived at Andhra Sri Sathya Sai Airport in Puttaparthi amid tight security during her India visit. Rodriguez visited the Mahasamadhi of Sri Sathya Sai Baba, where she offered floral tributes. She also participated in devotional and cultural programs organized at Sai Kulwant Hall. During her visit, Rodriguez watched cultural performances by students depicting episodes from the life of Lord Krishna and later joined devotees in bhajans dedicated to Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Delcy Rodriguez, who is currently on a working visit to India aimed at strengthening bilateral ties between India and Venezuela, shares a long-standing spiritual association with Prasanthi Nilayam.
वृंदावन कलयुग का दूषित प्रभाव आप भक्ति की गंगा प्रवाहित के उद्देश्य से यह प्रयास कर रहे हैं.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah chaired a meeting regarding issues related to the border areas in Tripura on Saturday. The meeting focused on enhanced and comprehensive border management with greater coordination of the state government machinery. Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that border security is not an isolated duty but a territorial responsibility. He stressed the need to develop a foolproof security grid. Amit Shah said that frequent operations against drug and arms trafficking are to be conducted and the entire chain of contribution to drug trafficking is to be dealt with a ruthless approach. The meeting underscored that under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Government of India is firmly committed to ensuring the highest standard of security along the international borders while promoting close synergy between centre and state agencies for the holistic development and safety of border areas. The National Testing Agency on Saturday dismissed as false and fraudulent claims circulating on social media about the alleged NEET or sale of NEET UG 2026 re-examination question paper and warned of strict action against those spreading such content. The NEET UG retest is scheduled for June 21. The NTA said it was actively identifying and reporting the offending channels, accounts and content to the platform and cybercrime authorities for immediate takedown and action. The agency further said it was filing a formal complaint with the law enforcement and cybercrime authorities, warning that creating, circulating or forwarding such fraudulent content and attempting to defraud students constituted a serious punishable offence. India and Mongolia share a strategic partnership anchored in shared Buddhist heritage and democratic values. Established in 1955, relations between New Delhi and Ulaanbaatar encompass major defense collaborations, capacity building programs and India's vital assistance in constructing Mongolia's first oil refinery in the city of Shenchand, a project now valued at $1.7 billion to support Mongolia's energy independence. Tanvi Taneja reports from Ulaanbaatar and brings us this report.
To most Mongols, India is the land of Gautam Buddha and the revered lamas. Their ancient wisdom and peace have been passed on to posterity for generations. For centuries, Buddhist teachings that originated in India have shaped Mongolia's spiritual and cultural traditions. In modern times, Buddhism has been promoted by cultural and literary contacts between the people of both countries. As developing nations with strong growth potential and rising aspirations, Mongolia and India place their people-centric development partnership at the core of their bilateral engagement. More recently, New Delhi and Ulaanbaatar have collaborated on quick impact projects through which India-funded initiatives will contribute to grassroots development, strengthen energy infrastructure, and support Mongolia's regional development goals in the years to come. The Mongol oil refinery project, being implemented with the support of the line of credit extended by the Government of India, stands as a flagship initiative and a vital component of Mongolia's sustainable energy strategy. DD India team travelled to the construction site of the country's first large-scale oil refinery being built in sanctioned area in Dornogobi province with the help of Indian assistance. According to project officials, more than 3,000 Indian workers, over 250 Nepali workers and more than 100 Mongolian employees are currently engaged at the site.
Our top management is committed to complete this refinery, and not only that, we are going an extra mile to see the Mongolian dream come true. Mongolia would become self-reliant with this project, and the dependency level from the neighboring countries would really come down.
What we are seeing here background, these are all 35 tanks. We are completed within one season, within working season, one season. Means it is only 7 months. We are completed, and in this harshable climate, this is our achievement.
The significance of this new project extends beyond its financial value. It will reduce Mongolia's heavy reliance on oil imports and enhance its energy security.
This project is for between India and Mongolia. It's such a precious project, and from Indian side also, I think it's a very expensive soft loan from Indian Exim Bank. We need some independence on the energy sector, so it's really good opportunity having our own refinery, and also using our good to the final product. It's our opportunity, and it will change the game, yeah. And we are really happy participating in this project.
Wearing our safety PPE kits, we assess the worker conditions and emergency protocols set up at the plant.
यहाँ पे मुझे 1.5 साल हो गए, हाँ जी, और बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है यहाँ पे काम करके। हाँ जी, कंपनी मतलब हमारा बहुत देखभाल भी करती है, हमारी गवर्नमेंट भी बहुत सपोर्ट कर रही है, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है हम लोगों को।
ये मंगोलिया का फर्स्ट इंडस्ट्री है, हम एक इतिहास रचने जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि मंगोलिया के डेवलपमेंट में जब भी जिक्र होगा हमारे देश का नाम जरूर आएगा।
भारत सरकार के द्वारा ही बनाई जा रही है मंगोल रिफाइनरी, तो ये एक तरह की हिस्टोरिकल है कि अदर कंट्री में भारत की पहली बार कोई रिफाइनरी प्लांट बन रही है।
The Mongol refinery project is a government-to-government initiative, but Hyderabad-based MEIL's country head Murli KBVS feels the project will be a game-changer not only for Mongolia but for Indian investments in the region.
Of course, it's a very big project for us, not even a prestigious to our MEL and as well as to the country. As per the schedule, it is in 2028. We are moving ahead in that directions. Let us see what we can do the best to that project for the completion of the project for that schedule.
Okay. Upon completion, the refinery is expected to process 1.5 million tons of crude oil annually, producing gasoline, diesel, aviation fuel and LPG for Mongolia's domestic market. Another key aspect of the India-Mongolia Development Partnership are the educational projects supported by India. These include the India-Mongolia Friendship School in Ulaanbaatar and the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Centre of Excellence in IT Communication Outsourcing. Backed by India's Jal Shakti Ministry, Vapcos Limited is managing the ongoing development of this centre, also in Ulaanbaatar. These facilities, expected to be completed by the end of this year, aim to boost educational skills and technological infrastructure across Mongolia.
From schools and technology centres to capacity building initiatives, India is helping create opportunities for Mongolia's next generation. And it is these people-centric projects that are adding a new dimension to India-Mongolia strategic partnership. With camera person Saurabh Shukla, Tanvi Taneja in front of the Parliament building in Ulaanbaatar for DD India.
Over the last 12 years, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's governance has reshaped India's redevelopment trajectory. PM Modi's government in the last 12 years tenure has transitioned India into the world's 5th largest economy, bringing to the fore massive push for digital infrastructure, global diplomatic positioning and outreach, massive economic reform in the last decade or more. India made strides in infrastructure push, manufacturing, welfare schemes, financing, inclusion and more. All this central to India's rising global eminence. And DD India's Sakal Bhatt brings us this report on these 12 years and how it has transformed India's economy.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी.
In 2014, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India set out an ambitious journey. The goal was to make India not just a consumer market, but a global manufacturing powerhouse. Vision of Prime Minister Modi crystallized through one flagship initiative, Make in India. Launched in September 2014, the mission aimed to boost manufacturing, attract investments, encourage innovation and create world-class infrastructure. And over the last decade, the government says the results are visible across sectors. At the heart of this transformation has been a strong push for ease of doing business. The focus is to simplify rules, reduce paperwork, digitizing approvals and creating a more business-friendly environment. India climbed 79 positions in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business rankings, reflecting the scale of reforms undertaken. And investor confidence saw a major boost. Between 2014 and 2025, India attracted over $748 billion in FDI, a rise more than 140% as compared to the previous decade. Major driver of this change has been digital governance. The government launched the National Single Window System, a one-stop digital platform designed to help businesses secure approvals faster and more efficiently. Since launch, more than 8 lakh approvals have been granted through the portal. At the same time, over 47,000 compliances across departments were reduced, digitized, simplified or removed, making business processes smoother and faster. Government's manufacturing push gained further momentum through the Production-Linked Incentive or PLI scheme. Launched in 2020, the scheme was designed to encourage companies to manufacture more in India through performance-based incentives. Today, the PLI scheme covers 14 strategic sectors, including electronics, automobiles, telecom, pharmaceuticals, textiles, drones, solar modules, and food processing, and the scale has been massive. One of the biggest success stories has been electronics manufacturing. India has emerged as the world's second largest mobile manufacturing country. Electronics production increased nearly 6 times over the last decade. Mobile phone production jumped from around 18,000 crore rupees in 2014-15 to more than 5.5 lakh crore rupees in 2024-25. And smartphone exports recorded extraordinary growth, making smartphones India's top export category in 2025. Global corporations are also expanding their footprints in India. Apple significantly scaled up iPhone production. Foxconn announced new manufacturing plants. Samsung expanded operations with some of the world's largest mobile manufacturing facilities in India. Microsoft committed major investments in cloud and AI infrastructure, and companies like Airbus, Amazon, Nestle, VinFast, Renault and Nissan deepened their India expansion plans. Together, these investments are strengthening India's position in global supply chains. The impact of Make in India is visible beyond electronics as well. Look at healthcare sector, where India becomes one of the world's largest vaccine producers and a major supplier of affordable medicines globally. In railways, indigenous Vande Bharat trains showcased India's growing manufacturing and engineering capabilities. And in defense, the launch of INS Vikrant, India's first indigenously built aircraft carrier, marked a major milestone in self-reliance and advanced manufacturing. Key economic reforms also reshaped the business landscape. The rollout of Goods and Services Tax or GST in 2017 unified multiple indirect taxes into one national tax system, creating a common market across India. the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code strengthened credit discipline and faster resolution processes, and reforms in the Companies Act reduced procedural complexities while encouraging greater transparency and ease for business. India also strengthened its focus on intellectual property rights reforms, from startups to global corporations, from digital governance to manufacturing expansion. India's economic transformation over the last 12 years has been driven by one core central idea, that making India easier to invest in, easier to manufacture in, and easier to grow in. And as the government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, moves towards its vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, ease of doing business continues to remain at the core of India's growth story, at the very heart of Shining India story. With Ahushi Ahuja, Sakal Bhatt's report for DD India.
Now let's move on to Telangana, where the Telangana state government has launched this 3-ride initiative on Saturday to bring more women into the gig economy by training them to drive electric vehicles and connect with app-based delivery and mobility platforms. The program aims to promote financial independence and expand opportunities for women in a sector traditionally dominated by men. According to officials, besides providing training, the initiative includes special safety measures for women gig workers to help them feel more confident and secure while working in a transportational and delivery sectors. Now on to some weather updates. As the southwest monsoon advances into the southern and central parts of India, the India Meteorological Department has forecast widespread rainfall across several regions of the country on Sunday. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued warnings for isolated heavy to very heavy rainfall with intensities reaching between 7 and 20 centimeters expected over Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and the northeast throughout the coming week. Despite the monsoon progression and rainfall activity, soaring temperatures and scorching heat continues to persist across several regions. Heatwave conditions are very likely over Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. Now let's take a look at other stories making news. The preparation for the famous annual Rath Yatra of Lord Jagannath, Balbhadra and Goddess Subhadra with the sacred chariot construction underway. Various rituals and administrative arrangements are also continuing. Tourists are flocking to Dal Lake in Srinagar as temperatures rise across India's plains during a heat wave. The lake, known for its cool climate, scenic mountains and shikara boat rides, has become a popular escape for visitors seeking relief from extreme heat. A day-long mango festival in Jharkhand's Jamshedpur brought together farmers, consumers and horticulture enthusiasts on Saturday. Several varieties of mangoes were showcased at the festival, from Mallika to Amrapali, but the showstopper seemed to be the banana-shaped sweet Kaira mango. The National Award-winning Malayalam actor Salim Kumar has passed away at the age of 56 after suffering health complications and a cardiac arrest while undergoing treatment at a hospital in Kochi. Salim Kumar had a long career spanning over 3 decades, appearing in more than 300 films. You're watching DD India NewsHour. Now time for sports. Alexander Zverev hopes it will be 4th time lucky as he again targets a first Grand Slam title in the French Open final today, facing Italian 10th seed Flavio Cobolli. 29-year-old German was widely tipped as a future multiple major champion and the leader of the next gen to challenge the big three of Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer almost 10 years ago. He missed his chance in that era, then watched as Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz emerged to mop up 11 slam titles between them. But Zverev has a golden opportunity at Roland Garros to finally end his wait for the triumph at the tennis top table. Meanwhile, 24-year-old Cobolli booked his place in the title clash after fellow Italian Matteo Arnaldi pulled out of the semi-final due to viral illness. Though Zverev is favourite, but Koboli is a genuine clay court threat, having beaten Zverev on his home turf in Munich this season, a result that underlined his ability to disrupt the Germans' rhythm on the sport's slowest surface. The Indian football team beat Bangladesh 3-1 in the SAFF Women's Championship final in Goa to clinch their 6th title of the South Asian tournament. Pyari Saksa, Sanfida Nogrum and Linda Com scored for India, while Rituparna Chakma netted for the visitors in the summit clash. The victory marked a record-extending 6th championship crown for India, but the first since 2019. Bangladesh had claimed the last 2 editions played in 2022 and 24. The goal in the final was only one India conceded throughout the tournament. The Blue Tigresses scored 18 goals in total of 4 matches. Indian women's football team stalwart Grace Dagmei announced her international retirement after the team won the SAFF championship title against Bangladesh. The 30-year-old Manipuri forward represented the country 95 times since her debut in 2013 and ended her international career on a high. She was not in the starting 11 in the summit clash and came on as a substitute, but she was handed the captain's armband later as she lifted the trophy during the prize distribution ceremony. During her illustrious career, which lasted nearly 15 years, Grace played for top Indian clubs as well. India's Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia and actor Vikrant Messi participated in the Fit India Sundays on Cycle initiative in New Delhi to celebrate World Bicycle Day. Hundreds of enthusiasts participated in the cycle ride to spread the message of fitness and well-being. The World Bicycle Day is celebrated annually on June 3rd, highlighting how bicycles reduce carbon emission, improve health and make cities more livable. Cycling every Sunday in India has now become a habit for fitness enthusiasts to bring home the message of staying fit. The initiative also highlights cycling an eco-friendly, affordable and inclusive form of exercise for people of all ages. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Akshay Dongre, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
I think today the leadership has clarity. I think the country has clarity. We have much sharper defined sense of national interest. Where China is concerned, yes, we went through a difficult period starting with 2020 when peace and tranquility in the border areas was disturbed. But in the last year, I think things have settled down. You know, the peace and tranquility is maintained, the patrolling is taking place as it is planned, etc. I would say the Russia relationship has remained steady. Even as Russia's relationship with other countries have undergone a big change. I would say Japan is an example again of a very steady relationship. In all our diplomatic accounts, where has been the biggest improvement? I would say without question it's in Europe.
20 years ago, swamp. Today,